everyone. Taylor from Doomed to Fail. We're the podcast that brings you stories of history's greatest disasters and epic failures. Today, we're going to re-release episode 24, part 1, and this is a just such a great story. Man, if you grew up in the Midwest of America, I feel like there's in the 80s, there's no way you didn't sing this song. If you grew up in the 70s, there's no way you didn't see the TV movie. And I think that I say this in the episode, but I remember watching the TV movie with the woman Elizabeth from Bewitched, and eating, this is so dumb, but eating spinach fettuccine alfredo, like spinach fettuccine, and never being able to eat it again without thinking about Lizzie Borden. So we did this last year in advance of Father's Day to talk about the relationship between Lizzie and her dad. It was not good. He was not very nice. Things were stinky and weird in the Borden household. It was hot. Also, if you've been in the American Midwest, it is hot and sticky. And imagine being there in the summer, having to wear Victorian clothing up to your neck, everything's black, and the doors in the Borden house, they lock them. They close the door. They lock the door. There's no ventilation. There's no air. The food is old. Everyone's sick. It's tension, and I don't know. Did she do it? I just don't know. I was so sure when I was growing up, and I guess if you know, you know. If it bothers you as much as it bothers me, the idea that she didn't do it is wild and also very, very probable. So please enjoy this re-release of our dear Lizzie Borden and her axe, maybe. And if you have any suggestions for us for future episodes, let us know. doomtofailpod@gmail.com. Again, this is episode 24, part 1. Our first 26 episodes were in one big episode, and we're separating them, so only a few more re-releases to go. But I hope you enjoyed this one. It's honestly one of my favorite stories of all time. Thanks for listening.
In the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number BA096.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Okay, so next Sunday, June 18th is Father's Day. Did you know that?
I've heard that.
Call your dad.
Sure.
So to prep for Father's Day, I wanted to celebrate a story about fathers and daughters, and so talk about the relationship between Andrew and Lizzie Borden.
Ooh.
Um,
It was a
so
sexual relationship, wasn't it?
it might have been.
Yep.
So you are first generation American.
It's
Was
true.
Lizzie Borden a part of your life?
I mean, I was 2 when I came here, so like I mean I heard the whole like dirty wax and
Okay.
all the like I remember buying a book. Dude, it was called Liz Claiborne. Hold on, what's Liz Claiborne? Is that what
She's
it's
like
called?
no, Liz Claiborne is like a fashion designer.
Okay, then I'm confusing things because I do remember getting a book and I thought it was about Lizzie Borden and it was about somebody totally different, and then I'm messing up your story and derailing it as
No,
usual.
it's fine. But like you've heard of her, you know.
Yeah.
So and you remember the rhyme, which we'll say in a second. But just for me, like this scared the shit out of me when I was little. Like I felt like it was in my life a lot. Um, I also like associate when I'm doing things with like the media that I'm consuming when I'm doing it. So like the kids' bathroom I painted blue, and it reminds me of Mount Everest because while I was painting the bathroom blue, I was watching a Mount Everest documentary.
Okay, makes sense.
So I remember watching the Lizzie Borden movie. It was like a Lifetime, not the Lifetime movie, the one from 1975. It was like a made-for-TV movie starring the woman from Bewitched.
Okay. Oh, I
And
love her.
yeah, and I
Samantha.
remember watching it and being scared shitless and eating fettuccine alfredo with spinach noodles. So whenever I think about fettuccine alfredo, I think about Lizzie Borden.
Nice.
I think about her a lot. So we have to, like you said, do the rhyme, which is Lizzie Borden took an axe, gave her mother 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. And you like skip rope to that.
It's
So
awesome.
They died. So people dedicate their freaking lives to this story. It is such a fascinating story that people have been like thinking about it forever. And there's a huge Lizzie Borden Society forum, which is like an older looking web form, and people are active on it today. People are active on it constantly. There's always people on it. I watched the Elizabeth Montgomery movie from 1975. There's a couple other websites I went to. There's a Lizzie Borden Society forum. Something from a website called Criminal Element. I watched a show called History's Mystery is a Strange Case of Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden had an axe from the Discovery Channel, and I read a book called The Trial of Lizzie Borden. So there's a lot. I mean, there's endless stuff about this story. Several of the documentaries were made like right after the OJ trial, which is hilarious because they were trying to like equate famous American trials together. And one of them was like, we imagine that Lizzie Borden spent her life with these murders hanging over her head, and that will happen to OJ. And I'm like, OJ's fine. He's in
OJ,
Florida.
OJ
Yeah.
doesn't care at all.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. So like, but here are the facts. On August 2nd, 1892, the Borden house is at 92 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. An uncle, John Morse, was visiting the Bordens. Morse ate breakfast served by the maid Bridget with Andrew and Abby, who are like the parents. He left to visit friends around 8:48 a.m. At 9 a.m., Andrew went for a walk. Sometime between 9 and 10:30 a.m., Abby went to tidy up the guest room and was hit 19 times in the head with an axe. Her body lay on the bed opposite to the door, so you kind of had to be in the room to see where she was. At 10:30, Andrew returned and the front door was locked. Bridget let him in, and then she went upstairs to take a nap because she wasn't feeling well. Andrew sat down in the sitting room to take a nap, and he was murdered so violently that half of his head was gone and one eye was totally exploded. So he was like hacked to death. And that was sometime after 10:30. At 11:10, Bridget and a neighbor heard Lizzie call, "Come quick, father's dead." Somebody came in and killed him. So that's like the stuff that we know for sure. And then everything else we're not sure about. So let me tell you about the people in this story. So Lizzie's dad is Andrew Jackson Borden. He was born in 1822. The Bordens were a Fall River like family. They had lived there for generations. They were very wealthy. He didn't have the the egg that other Bordens had, but he did make his own fortune. He was a carpenter. He made furniture and coffins. Then he was a bank manager, and he ended up owning a bunch of property, and he was pretty rich. So in today's money, he had about $10 million.
Yeah, good for
So
him.
yeah, so he had a good amount of money. There's another Borden story that happened next door a few decades before, where a mother who is like a great aunt of Lizzie, Eliza Darling Borden, threw her three children into the basement well and then died by suicide.
Wow.
So they have like another horrible story that's like right in the same neighborhood that happened before. So that's the dad. Lizzie's mom is dead. Her name is Sarah Anthony Borden. She was born in 1823. They had two children, Emma and Lizzie, and Sarah died when Lizzie was 2, just like of being sick and being alive
Yeah.
in the 1800s. So Andrew remarried Abby Borden. She was born in 1828. Her maiden name is Abby Durfee Gray. So she was there's a lot of like spinsters in this story, which means you're like 30 and not married, you know? So Abby
Is
was
it,
kind of a spinster.
aren't they still called spinsters?
No, no one uses the word spinster anymore.
Oh my God, am I old?
No, you're not 100 years old. No one uses the word spinster.
Okay.
Um, so he probably just needed help with the family, you know, and so there was like an unmarried woman and they were married. It happened about when Lizzie was like 5. Durfee is also the name of one of the banks that Andrew managed, so it sounds like he like worked with her dad and then met her. Initially, she had a good relationship with the girls. They were young and then she was in her 30s when she moved into the house. Eventually, closer to the time of the murders, Lizzie would start calling her Mrs. Borden instead of mother. So they ended up
Yeah.
kind of having a falling out. Emma, the older sister, was also unmarried, and she was agoraphobic. But during the murders, she was out of town, which is weird because she like never left her house, but she was out of
Hmm.
town during the murders, visiting friends. So Lizzie herself, Lizzie Andrew Borden, was born on July 19th, 1860. She was also unmarried. You know, she's 32 at the time of the murders. She taught Sunday school. She was in the Women's Temperance League and the Ladies' Fruit and Flower Mission. Like, she was bored, you know?
So boring.
Yeah, she was so fucking bored. A woman her age was supposed to be spending her time taking care of her family, you know, and like managing a household. Like, that's really the only option. So if she didn't have that option, she really had nothing to do.
Why would
So
you
people
just
are,
casually take up like being part of a temperance movement? Like,
well, she was very religious and like, you
okay,
know,
it's like
you know,
your only favorite thing in your pastime to do is just to kill everybody's buzz. It's kind of weird.
yeah. I mean, her life sounds terrible. And like her dad has a lot of money, but they don't spend it, which is like frustrating, I think, probably for both girls because they're like,
Yeah.
you know, we might as well be spending this money. But they did spend a little bit, so I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But there's two other people who are in the house at the time. So John Morse is the brother of Sarah, who's Lizzie's birth mom, and he came by to visit. He came by independently, just like randomly, and like stopped by. So he's staying with the Bordens, but he leaves in the morning to go visit, and he's staying in the guest room. There's also Bridget Sullivan. She's 25 years old. She was an Irish immigrant, and it's such a racist time. So they eventually, I don't even think I wrote this down, but they tried to blame the murders on like a random Portuguese person. They're just like anyone who's like a different, like an other. The Borden family calls Bridget Maggie because their last Irish maid was named Maggie, and they just don't want to bother learning a new name,
That's so awesome. That's
which is
hilarious.
ridiculous.
It's like naming your dog the exact same thing as
Yeah.
your last dog. That's
Oh
funny.
my God. So poor Bridget. It's like this sucks. And also, like it's so hot and so Victorian. Everyone's wearing like long sleeves and it just sounds like really stuffy and kind of awful. So I read so much stuff about this, but also the book well, I also listened to the last podcast, obviously, and the book that they recommend is Bill James's Popular Crime, which is so good. It's such a great book, and he's very funny when he talks through different crimes and like tries to quantify who might have done it. But his facts are it's almost impossible to see how Lizzie could have committed the crime. And also, it's very, very difficult to understand how anyone else could have committed the crime.
Yeah, I remember that.
Remember
I
that?
remember that. Yeah.
So, the third fact that he has is that Lizzie made a number of statements about the case that were self-contradictory and in conflict with the testimony of other persons. So, there's that. That part is like definitely true. So, here's the scene, and here's the day, and what the kind of leading up to the day. So we know the people. We're in Fall River, Massachusetts, which was once one of the biggest cities in Massachusetts. Rich people live up on a hill. So there's a hill where you live if you're rich. The Bordens don't live there. They could afford to live there, but they don't. They live in town. So the house is like on a main thoroughfare, like in town. It's Tuesday morning. Lots of people are around. It's not like an isolated place. Andrew was very, very stingy. The house had no water, it had no gas lighting. So, like, those things were available, but they had like kerosene lamps and they had like one water
Mm.
pump in the basement and they had like an outhouse in the basement too, I guess,
I
like a
don't
hole.
get people like that.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
like when you hear about Warren Buffett, and it's like he still lives in the same house he bought for $500,000 like 90 years. Like, why? Like, why?
and this is such a big jump in like modern convenience, Like, how about you don't have to pee in a chamber pot in the middle of the night, You could just not do that. That's available to you.
It'll be
But
kind of fun though. I kind of want a chamber pot now.
I absolutely do not want a chamber pot. I
I
want
would definitely not empty mine. I'll just leave it there
to,
for like 6 months at a time.
that's horrifying. No. No, 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 no. So anyway, it was an old house and they could have done better. But the girls actually have money. They have like an allowance. They get it from a rental house. So Andrew owns a bunch of property. He buys a house for his sister-in-law, for Abby's sister, and the girls are pissed because they want more money. So the girls get the grandfather's house and the money from rent from that. So they have a good amount of money. Eventually they're gonna inherit the money from their dad. There's like really no reason to rush it. So that's kind of where they are right now. Something happened around like 1890, and that's when Lizzie started calling Abby Mrs. Borden. In 1890, also, Lizzie traveled to Europe for a while with other Borden cousins.
It's
So she
fun.
wasn't like trapped in Fall River. She like got to go to Europe and like hang out. So
I bet it
she
was
did have some
fucking lame though,
motivation.
Taylor. It wasn't like me and you going to Europe. They weren't like at pubs, like hanging out and having a great time, playing darts, being locals. Like they weren't doing that. They were like repenting or something. Like it had to have sucked.
No, I bet they were doing what the other half of our trip to Europe would be like going to churches and museums.
Yeah.
They just went to bed early.
Ugh.
But all the but all the churches and museums in Europe are nice.
Dude,
Um,
I bet they would have thought they're the type of people that would have thought English food is good.
oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So a couple other odd things happened leading up to the murders. There was a fight between Andrew and Lizzie, it's presumed, and she had some pigeons in the barn that she was keeping like as pets, and he killed them. So like maybe with an axe. Also, that could maybe not be true, but he had like done this to her pets and she was super upset. There's also, like you said, rumors of incest, but those come later. And the reason that people say that is because, like, he had his two older daughters living at home with him. Like, he never allowed them, or for whatever reason, they never went out and got married. The crime was so brutal that it had to be personal. Like any
Yeah.
forensic person would tell you that. Also, this is weird. Andrew didn't wear a wedding ring, but he did wear Lizzie's high school ring that she gave him. Your face is amazing.
That's
That's gross.
that's weird.
That's suspicious.
He definitely was doing something.
So that could have may or may not have happened. There's like so many of things on Lizzie Borden forum about it. Like someone just had like a webinar about it. So it's definitely still like something that fascinates people.
But isn't this a point in time when like it was common for incest in the family?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any more or less than like now in certain areas. I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, more remote. I mean, look, if you're in West Virginia, like there's
Yeah.
not much. It's slim pickings. It's either family or nothing.
But they're not remote. They're in the middle of a city.
It's true. Okay, you're right. You're right.
But I don't know. Um, There's also some thefts in the house. So someone had come and stolen some money and a streetcar tickets. It sounds like Lizzie was a suspect for those thefts. So Andrew like dropped the charges and like didn't want the police to look into it. So maybe she had done that. But also like she's bored. Maybe she did try to steal some extra money or whatever. So everybody in the Borden house locked their doors all the time after this theft. And the house is really weird. It is a house with no hallways. All the rooms are connected. So when you walk in the front door, there's stairs on the right, and then there's two doors. One door goes to a parlor, and another one goes to a sitting room. So they're both kind of the same purpose, just to like hang out. And then the sitting room goes to the kitchen, and the kitchen and the sitting room both go to the dining room. And then there's a little back entryway and back stairs, and the back stairs go up to the third floor where Bridget lives, and then also to Andrew and Abby's bedroom. You can get there that way too.
Okay.
I'll send you a picture. The other way to get to Andrew and Abby's bedroom is to the second floor. So when you climb up the stairs and on the second floor, there's the guest room where Abby's body was found. That's one door. One door goes directly to Lizzie's bedroom, and her room is connected to Emma's bedroom. Are you
So
looking it up?
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
so
everything's kind of
weird.
connected. Hmm.
Like, why
And
didn't
there's
they invent hallways?
always, I don't know, I was gonna look this up because I feel like when you go to like when you're in Europe and you go to like Versailles, there's no hallways. You just like room to room to room.
Yeah, you're right.
So I wonder when I was gonna look it up because I remember like when I was in Europe for the first time, someone was telling me how they don't have closets because they used to be charged by the room. So you would have like a wardrobe. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah,
Like taxed by the room. But either way, like also on the second floor, there's a big clothes room. They call it a closet, but it's almost as big as Emma's bedroom. It's a big room. So it's a big room where they like store all their clothes. Emma's bedroom is a small room off of Lizzie's bedroom. And then Andrew and Abby have like a bigger room in the back of the house. So the only way to get to Andrew and Abby's room is through come going up the back stairs, or there's a door between their room and Lizzie's room, but that one is always locked.
yeah,
And so what they do is, again, like it's hot, it's fucking humid. They're all wearing long sleeves. Like Andrew's wearing like a full suit when he's killed, and it's like 80 degrees, and the house is stuffy. Like when it's hot and I don't have air conditioning, I want the windows open. Like and I want like air to be moving, but air is not moving because every single door is always closed, and most of the time they're locked.
so shitty way to live.
Yeah, it sounds terrible. It sounds really stuffy. I'm sure it smells terrible, all of that.
Yeah,
So the family had been also super sick leading up to the murders. Lizzie had told someone in town that she thought someone was trying to poison them because they had that bad milk. But like also, they had no refrigeration. They were eating old food. They were eating old fish. They were eating old mutton, like mutton broth. The 1975 movie does such a good job of showing how gross the broth was. Like actually, they show Bridget like almost throwing up, and then like they have show the parents eating it like it's so gross I might throw up right now thinking about it. But essentially, like during this time, because of what the conveniences they had at their house, and probably during all time, like to keep food from going bad, you would keep it constantly cooking.
yeah, yeah.
You
It's
know,
called perpetual stew or something, right?
yeah. So they really stretched the fish and the mutton, and so everybody was sick. Like it was old. Lizzie was not sick, and that people saw that as being suspicious, but I also kind of feel like that's just smart.
Taylor, I looked this up forever ago, and I'm trying to find it again now. But hold on, where is it? Where is this? I will have to edit photos out. Okay, so there's a perpetual stew in Germany
Ew.
that has been around since the 15th century.
No.
Yeah. There's another in Japan that has had the same broth in their perpetual stew since 1945.
I hate that.
Anyways, okay, sorry.
Exactly. Like in the Middle Ages, I'm looking it up now, there were inns that had a big pot of stew on the fire 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over time, you added whatever you had, and you never really stopped adding to the pot. Ew,
Really
someone is
gross.
saying like you should make it now. No, you should not do that. Um, I mean, no, hard no. So anyway, it of course made them sick. And so Lizzie wasn't sick, which people thought was suspicious, but also I feel like she was probably just like, I don't want to eat this. I would not want to eat it. She has cookies for breakfast that morning. That sounds 1,000 times better than old mutton stew, you know?
This life sounds so terrible.
It sounds terrible. It's real boring and like dreary. So Lizzie's not sick, which makes people feel like she might have done it. Also, a pharmacist during the trial is going to testify that Lizzie tried to buy prussic acid to clean a sealskin cape. I looked it up. The Metropolitan Museum of Art actually has a sealskin cape in their collection, just like a short fur cape. The acid could have been used as like fumigation, but maybe she did ask for it because she was bored, but also it was probably somebody else. It sounds like the pharmacist just wanted to like be in the news because later a police officer's wife said that she was the one who went in and tried to buy prussic acid because you needed a prescription to buy it, and they were just kind of like doing like secret shopper trying to trick him.
Makes
So that
sense.
probably isn't true. Wikipedia told me that both girls were so mad at their father for whatever reason that they stayed at a hotel for a few days before the murders, but I didn't read that anywhere else. So I don't know where that comes from. And then we do know that Emma was out of town, and which was weird because she never left the house. And then John was there, the uncle, and he never saw Lizzie. Like she came in and didn't say hello. He just like left in the morning, so they never even said hi. So as in the morning of August 2nd, as the events unfold, for the women, Bridget is in and out of the house washing windows, and she was pissed. Like she was pissed that Abby asked her to wash the windows. It was hot. She didn't want to do it. She had food poisoning. Like she just didn't want to do it, but she was in and out of the house. Lizzie is puttering around the house doing like normal Victorian lady things. She's ironing handkerchiefs. She says that she goes to the barn to look for fishing lures for an upcoming trip. So they had like a small yard, but they had a barn in the back. So she's like rifling around the barn, doing Victorian stuff. She also stays in the yard and eats 4 pears. And people are like, that's so weird. Why would she sit there and eat pears while her parents are being murdered, you know? But I'm sure she was fucking hungry, and it makes sense to eat a fresh pear rather than old stew.
That's the most exciting thing that's happened so far.
Yeah,
You get a
that
pair?
makes
Like,
so
that's
much sense.
amazing.
It sounds delicious and fresh, and that sounds great. So she's eating pears in the backyard, kind of just hanging out. It's hot as fuck. She's wearing long sleeves. So Lizzie said that Abby got a note from a friend that was sick and needed help. So there's evidence that people liked Abby. She had a lot of friends. So it's possible that that happened, but there was never a note. Like no one ever found the note, so they don't know. So she was saying that Abby was out. So sometime in the morning, around 9:30, Abby is killed. So she's cleaning the guest room. She is axed in the head, and Abby weighs 200 pounds. She falls. Someone would have fucking heard it. You would think. But she falls. Someone would have heard her. We stayed in a house that's like this age in Columbus, Ohio one time, my family, and you could like see the first floor through the second floor. Like it was like the house was old, I'm
You
sure
mean
that
through
like
the wood in the
through the floor.
floors?
Yeah. Like there was no like insulation. Like I don't think that like it would be you wouldn't miss it if someone fell.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
someone like dropped a book, you wouldn't miss it.
Right.
You would
Right.
hear it. Andrew comes home and he can't get the door open. So he's annoyed, but like also all the doors are locked and he can't get it open and the door is locked. And Maggie tries to get the door open. Not Maggie, I'm sorry, Bridget. I wrote Maggie. What's it called?
You're doing the
I'm
exact
doing
same
it.
thing.
So Bridget tries to get the door open and she curses. And she says that she heard Lizzie laughing on the stairwell when she cursed. So either she was laughing because of the bad word, which is what Bridget thought, but also the spot that Lizzie was standing on the stairway was the only place where you could have seen Abby's body. Because you had to be at a certain point on the stairway to kind of see like underneath the bed into the guest room and
Yeah.
see Abby
Yeah.
laying on the floor. So that may or may not be true, Bill James thinks it isn't true. He thinks that she didn't hear her laughing, but like, I don't know. Andrew takes a nap in the sitting room. In the pictures, he's sitting on the couch with his head on the pillows and his feet off of the couch and his shoes are on. So like, that's weird. Like, do you take a nap like that? But also, he's a lot taller than the couch, so you wouldn't like see him cuddle up. He wouldn't like be a cuddler. But also, he just like he's in a really weird position. So I wonder if like he fell, but I don't know. So
Taylor, can I posit a working
yeah,
theory I have here?
yeah, yeah.
Because so much about this case is based on like what normal humans would be doing or wouldn't be doing or experience. And
Hmm.
these people are like total freaking weirdos, right?
Yeah,
Like, is it really, would I think that it's weird if Andrew were to go to sleep in a full tuxedo at noon in
yeah,
95-degree weather? Probably not,
exactly.
because he's a
Yeah,
fucking weirdo. They're all weirdos.
that's true. Exactly. Yes.
As an
Like we
aside.
don't know. Does he do that every day? I don't know. Like he very well might. It's a great good point. Yeah, do weird stuff. So Lizzie calls, someone yells out, someone's killed father. Neighbors start to come. Bridget goes to the Dr. Bowen, the family doctor, to get him to come. The police come, and I'm sure you remember this, but the police is like the B squad because everyone else is at like the county fair.
Yes.
It's like the police
Yes.
day of fun, and most of the police are out of town. So
I
they
remember
send the
this.
B squad to help. They've never seen anything like this, and this town is they're like dealing with drunks and dealing with like petty crimes. They're not dealing with axe murders for the most part. So also like the murderer could still be in the house. Like potentially they are because Lizzie's there. Like who knows? So people start coming in and out of the house. The police do take pictures, which is cool because that's pretty new. It wasn't a thing to take pictures of bodies, but they don't take the pictures until about 3 p.m. So it's been like 5 hours since they died. And they've definitely been touched and like moved around. But they take the pictures, so we have those. A neighbor, Mrs. Churchill, finally asks, "Where's Abby?" And Lizzie said, "Oh, she went out." And then they go for looking around for her, and then they find Abby's body. So they don't find it until after the police are already there.
It's wild.
So some other things that they find in the house, there's a bucket full of bloody rags in the basement, but Lizzie says that they're from her period, which they very well could be. Having your period is terrible. It was terrible. So they also find an axe with a broken handle covered in ash in the basement. So they think that that may have been the murder weapon, but they're not sure. But also, like, there's no footprints or handprints. Don't you feel like if you axed someone to death, you'd have blood on your, like, have to open the door?
So,
Like,
so so that's the part of it where I'm trying to say my piece of this is like, I don't think she did it only because I'm looking at the crime scene photos. Dude, this guy's face was butchered,
yeah, it's
like
gone.
absolutely gone. Like there's like the fact that there was no blood on her, and if she's like, oh, I was on my period, there's no way you confuse like what is her period like 50 gallons? Like
Right,
you
because
know
get all over
like
her face.
yeah,
No.
it would be exactly. So
Yeah.
that's the only part where like I'm just like super not, in the Lizzie's probably not guilty camp is because the blood
Yeah.
is not there.
And it's, I mean, my whole life I thought she did it. So this blows my mind because I feel like maybe she didn't. Because of that, because she was so clean. And also Bridget saw her between the murders and said she was clean. So she would have had to like clean herself off, change, and then do it again. So
And they
they
didn't
also
have
had
plumbing. They didn't have plumbing,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have been really, really hard. But I also just feel like anyone would have trailed blood like through that house and they would have had to leave the house covered in blood. So that, and no one noticed on like the street. So like maybe they were wearing like black clothing and you just couldn't tell, or maybe they were the butcher already covered in blood, stuff like that. That like it could have been, but it feels like someone should have saw something if like
Yeah.
another person had been there. They do the autopsies at the house and they
So
leave the bodies
crazy.
there. So they leave the
So
bodies there like
crazy.
overnight with the girls, which is crazy. So the next few days, the bodies do go to the morgue, and then they get sent to Harvard, and a man named Dr. Ed Wood performs another autopsy on them. He takes the heads and boils them, so he has just the skulls. So they're buried up without their heads, and he has the skulls. Also, Lizzie does something super suspicious. She burns a dress. So she probably did it in front of her sister and a friend, and maybe in front of some like other people. But she was like, "Oh, we're just cleaning up the house." Because also the thing I just thought about is who the fuck cleaned up the blood? Probably poor Bridget.
Right.
And so she has a dress and she's like, "Oh, this old dress has paint on it." People ha knew that she had a dress that had paint on it for real, but she burned it in the stove, which was like normal. You didn't really have like the garbage men coming by, so you would burn things. But she did it in front of her friends, and they're like, "That's the worst thing you could have done. Like now everybody knows that you burned a dress. Like maybe it was covered in blood, you know?"
Right.
I don't know why she did that. Why didn't she just do it when she was alone? You just do it in the middle of fucking night, you know?
I mean, what was her excuse?
She was like, "Oh, I just had paint on it, and I just was like, I'm just like doing chores, like normal chores."
Again,
So maybe
again,
that's
again. These are weirdos. That's
right.
a weird
Yeah,
thing to do, but like it could be totally normal for them.
exactly. Yes, super weird. Um, so Lizzie doesn't act like, again, like they always say, like you never know how you'll act in like an emergency, but Lizzie acts like kind of suspicious the whole time. But it's also because Dr. Bowen is giving her a shit ton of morphine. She is high as fuck. She is like totally out of it. So she's definitely confused. Also, like there are thousands of people coming to Fall River to see the house because they will forever. Like people are there right now, staying the night. It's a bed and breakfast. Like it's the
Is it
same.
really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
That's
100% me to go there.
we
Everybody.
have to go there.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. So like there's like museums, like the whole town. This is it. This is all Fall River has. This is Lizzie Borden story. And of course, like if my neighbor was murdered, I would be over there right now. I would definitely want to see. I'd be like looking at it, you know. Um, Also after the murders, the Borden sisters offer a $5,000 reward in the paper for the murderer. So this is also just like the OJ case. Like no one bothers to find the real fucking murderer, you know.
Yeah.
Like after the person's acquitted, they're like, cool, guess that's it. And you're like, what? You're
Yeah,
saying he
there's
didn't
gotta
do it, then who
be.
the fuck did it? So Lizzie was charged on August 8th, 1892. She spent 11 months in jail before her trial. What are you looking at?
Dude, Taylor, you can book. Wait, how much does it cost? Hold on. Oh my God, you can, Taylor, you can stay in Andrew and Abby's bedroom for $300 a night.
They didn't die there, but that sounds great. Can you stay in the guest
Wait,
room?
no, Abby did. Abby died in her room.
No, she died in the guest room.
Damn, okay. Wait, hold on. So let me see if you can do the guest room. No. You got Lizzie and Emma's suite. You got Bridget, Hosea, John Morse.
Well, John Moore stayed in the guest room.
Yeah, let's see how much that one
I mean, I can
was.
look it up too. This is the silent part of the podcast. Official Lizzie Borden house. See our rooms. Oh, they have
Dude,
two.
300 bucks. It's like consistently 300 bucks. That's crazy.
Yeah, the
This
John V.
is,
Morse suite is the guest room. That's where Abby Borden was found. $300 a night. Bridget's room.
dude,
Three people can stay in Bridget's room. Oh my God, it's so funny.
hey, would you would say that, right?
For sure.
Which room?
Oh, there's so many rooms on the third floor that they don't talk about. It's weird. I would want to stay in Lizzie's room, even though it's not where anybody was murdered. I want to stay in the room that she lived in.
Yeah, I agree.
But wow, it's interesting that looking at this, that there's Bridget's room and there's also two other bedrooms on the top floor. So like, who knows? I don't know. Maybe someone could have hid up there. I don't know. Also, wait, just scroll down. It says no alcohol is permitted on the property. We have already had two fatal head injuries in the home. That's funny. I
I
think
mean,
that's a
yeah,
joke.
that's a temperance people. Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, it sounds awesome.
Is that all
Um,
for?
okay, cool. Anyway, this is fun. People should go there. You can get a
Yeah.
tour, a ghost tour. That also sounds fun. A ghost hunt nightly from 10 p.m. to midnight. So if you're staying there, you can be part of the ghost hunt. Okay, anyway, that sounds great. Let's definitely do that. So the trial started on June 5th, 1893, which is 130 years ago this week is when it started. It was in Taunton, Massachusetts. It had to be moved for like jury purposes. During the trial, Lizzie was very quiet because she was like on all these drugs. She was chewing on her fan. It was so hot. She did laugh at one point when there was like a funny witness talking about dresses. So she has feelings, but most of the time she was just like really quiet. The jury is all men, of course. There's a picture of the jury that is on Wikipedia. They all look the same. It's like very bushy mustaches, just like white dudes. Actually, black black men could serve on juries since 1860 in Massachusetts, but it was this one was all white men. Women didn't serve on juries till 1951 in Massachusetts.
Wow.
Yeah. So but women were there. Women from all over brought food, had picnics outside, tried to get and see it. It was just like there are women all around, just like of course there are. Like this is the most exciting thing that ever happened. They're gonna hang out
Yeah.
around the courthouse. Her lawyer was a former governor of Massachusetts. He was very expensive, but very, very worth it. It was like a dream team. They poised her as a good Christian woman who wouldn't do dream of doing such a thing. One crazy thing that happened during the trial is they brought the heads, the skulls, into the courtroom to show the brutality of the crime, but they didn't tell Lizzie or her sister that they were going to do that. So Lizzie fainted right away.
It's kind of a fun day. It's
Yeah,
kind of a fun day at court.
exactly. A fun day at court. She also at one point cried until she threw up, so she does have like emotions, and it's also really fucking hot. So there's stuff happening. But the jury deliberated for an hour and a half, and she was acquitted. So it
Yeah.
happened real fast. Um, After the trial, Lizzie does move up to the hill. She buys a big house up there. There's a summer bedroom and a winter bedroom. There's 14 rooms. There's Tiffany lamps. She has servants. She names it Maplecroft and has a sign made out of concrete on the steps. So she lives in this like lavish house that she presumably always wanted to live in. She changed her name to Lizbeth Borden. I don't know. Changed her name to that. Um, but nobody loves her. Like while she was in the trial, people were like on her side, but afterwards, like don't want to be associated with her. So like her life was essentially ruined. Like she got the money and she had to live in a nice house, but she didn't have any like friends. She didn't get to be a part of the like society that she'd wanted to be a part of. But she also never left Fall River. She could have left, but she didn't.
Did you want that? Again, these are weird people. It's like they're just not fun or interesting. I don't know.
I don't know. And like that's also a good point. Like if this hadn't happened, we would never know anything about her. And how many millions of people we know nothing about, billions of people, because nothing extraordinary happened.
Right.
But she had this extraordinary thing happen, whether or not she did it, which is just, I
Did
think,
she
crazy.
do it?
I don't
She
know.
didn't do it.
I don't know.
Do we?
Um,
What do you think?
Hold on, I'll get there.
Okay.
So later in life, she does become like good friends with an actress from Boston named Nance O'Neill, or New York maybe, but it's like a fan, like an actress, and everybody's like it's same with All Time Until Right Now, where like being an actress was like scandalous, and so they think that used to have Nance O'Neill like come over and have these big parties, and the town kind of frowned on that as well. At some point, Lizzie and Emma have a falling out, and they don't speak for years. In all of the films, they stop talking because Lizzie tells her that she did it,
Of
and
course.
Emma's
Of
like, "Ugh."
course.
Like the 1975 film, and so great. Like Emma is played by the grandma from Who's the Boss, and Lizzie comes home and Emma's like, Lizzie, you have to tell me, did you do it? And it just like zooms into Elizabeth Montgomery's face and her face is very moist the whole time because it's so hot. And the camera pans around her and they sing the nursery rhyme. It's so good.
That's awesome.
And then in the end, there's a Christina Ricci movie. And that one, it ends with her having a party and being like, Lizzie is Christina Ricci. And she's like having this party and her sister is like, what are you doing? And the party, there's music going off and Christina Ricci whispers to her sister or something and her sister's eyes go wide. So she like confesses. So the movies are all like, she did it.
I can't believe that Christina Ricci played Lizzie. I gotta watch
Hmm.
that one.
There's also one with Chloe Sevigny and Kristen Stewart that's very, very gay. I'll tell you more about that theory in
Okay.
a minute too. Um, The sisters Emma and Lizzie die within 9 days of each other. They die in their 60s. Lizzie leaves the largest amount of money to the Fall River Animal Rescue League, which I also was thinking about when you said that about pets in Manchester in the 1960s or whatever, because this is like the 1920s and they have an Animal Rescue League in Fall River. So there's like some of it. She leaves money in a trust to care for her father's grave for all time, and Lizzie is buried with her parents in Fall River. So they're buried and like all buried together. Um, so yeah, so was it her? I don't know. Bill James, who wrote Popular Crime, says no. Most people on the Lizzie Borden forum think yes. I'm not sure. My whole life I thought it was her, and then this kind of blew my mind because it's like I feel like I thought about it a lot, and maybe she didn't do it. She was mad at her dad. He was mean. Her life was boring. Maybe it was incest, because and then it was such like a violent crime because she was so upset about it. Um, this is before the Man from the Train axe murders, but it is right after Jack the Ripper. So there is like violence in the news, but he didn't use an axe. Like so, but I'm trying to think
Yeah.
of like, what was in there. Um, could she have been gay and he like found out and was super upset? Like some people think she was having an affair with a maid, which I doubt, or like she like had a girlfriend, he found out and she's wanted to like live her life. But the big thing is like how could she have gotten clean? That seems almost
The
impossible.
the the only so while you were talking, I was thinking the only way I could buy that she did it was like there was a fit of rage that was not premeditated.
Hmm.
She cracked them open,
Hmm.
and by some fluke of cosmic luck, all the blood splatter went everywhere but her. That's the only way I can make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that technically could happen.
Because think about it this way. So like, here's a plausibility of this. So remember Peter Curtin, the vampire of
Yeah,
Dusseldorf?
Dusseldorf. Yeah.
So he would do all these crimes where he would be killing people out in public and go home totally clean, and people would be like, "How is that even possible?" Like he just like learned that like if you stand in a certain spot, that the blood
Hmm.
splatter would just like avoid you. Like whatever. He like did the math and figured out how to do it. So like
Hmm.
it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. In the Elizabeth Montgomery movie, they have her do it naked, and then she just like washes herself off afterwards. But the chances of that are really like low because I bet she was never naked. Like,
Yeah.
like ever. Like she probably like washed her body parts separately out of a bowl, like she didn't like nowadays we get naked all the time because we take a shower, but she never did that. So I feel
Yeah.
like she was probably like a perpetual stew, just perpetually changing different parts of her body, like never fully naked. So it would be weird that she would do that because also she's like very
Modest.
rude. Yeah. So some other suspects are, could it be a stranger? Someone said that they heard someone come to the door in the morning and Abby let them in. Um, Andrew had a share of enemies. He was like a bad landlord, like not bad, but like mean. So like, whatever. They could have hid in that hall closet. That hall closet was huge. So they could have gone to that closet, hid, and then killed Andrew. But then also, where's the blood? Like,
Yeah.
there's just I feel like there have to be footprints, and there just weren't any, which is so weird. Later in life, Lizzie had a nurse, and the nurse said that um, she confessed to the nurse that she had a boyfriend who had done it and hid in the closet, and but then he like ended up leaving her, and that was like what happened. A woman, obviously this is crazy, had a dream that Emma came to her in her dream and said that she did it, that she like came into town, killed her parents, then went back to visit friends. Um, People think that the uncle might have done it. His alibi was perfect in like a suspicious way, which is like not fair because he had like a perfect alibi. And then think that like also like it could have been Bridget, the maid. She was mad. Obviously, her life sucked, but she was sick and she had to clean it up. Like
Yeah.
either way, she had to clean up. I don't feel like she would do it. Um, so yeah, that's it. We don't know who did it. It's a crazy mystery because the facts don't really tell us anything. And just like OJ, like she got acquitted, but there was no like find the real killer, figure out what really happened. The people were just like, she probably did it, but got off because she was like a nice Christian woman and people couldn't believe that she had done it.
OJ's the one who vowed that he would find the killer, though.
Oh, great. He could just wake up and look at a mirror.
I don't think he's done much work on that.
No, he's not out there investigating,
You know,
taking fingerprints outside Nicole's house.
it's great. It's interesting how like one crime can become so iconic. Like it's a part of culture. Like this website's hilarious, by the way. Like I don't know if you've
Are
gone
you on
through
the
and like looked at it
forum?
more. No, I'm not on the forum. I'm on the website for the house, and it's
Hmm.
so funny. They even have like this section for like you can shop, and they like have this ghost called Lily, the host to go stall, and it is terrifying looking. And it's
Oh, let
like
me see.
they have a
Oh,
really
Lily
great
the
sense of
Haunted Doll.
humor.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Strike like Lizzie Borden. Is that a is that like a Union shirt? Oh my God, Miss Elizabeth's finishing school, turning girls into sharp young ladies.
Wait, where's the Union shirt?
Well, it says I strike like Lizzie Borden.
Oh, that's funny.
You know? Um,
Yeah, I love these guys. Like, if you look at the staff, like they look like a fun group, and they really, I mean, they're doing a lot of. They got a bloody axe for sale. Like,
oh, they
it's
look real
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, they do. They look like
Oh,
you'd have a good time going to a haunted house with them.
I love them. I love them. They're all dressed up. Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, Suzanne, give you a peace sign. I fucking love her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's super fun. It's just like a crazy story. And also this is like a far fetched, but I read the book Middlemarch a long time ago, which is a English novel written whatever a long time ago. But one of the things that it ends with a really like a line that reminded me of this. Um, I'm gonna read it, but I don't know if it's gonna make a sense. But for the growing good of the world is partly dependent on unhistoric acts, and the things that are not so ill with you and me as they might have been is half owing to the number who lived faithfully a hidden life and rest in unvisited tombs. Meaning, like, if you just do good things and live a normal life, no one will ever know, but you're contributing to the future in like the subtle way that everyone does. But when something crazy happens, that's when you become like a part of the zeitgeist forever, and that's what happened to Lizzie.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm sure her tomb is very visited, and I definitely want to go. And I don't know, but and also like, if is it another fucking random crime? Someone came to the house and axe murdered them? That'd be
Yeah,
scary.
yeah, the randomness of it, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I Yeah, this is a roller coaster of an episode.
I know.
It started with celebrating the death of Pat Robertson and mourning the death of Ted Kaczynski.
I know. So much has happened in the past couple hours. Um, ooh, I'm watching that. Now I'm looking at a video of the Borden house. Join us to stay, play, and for a hauntingly fun time. Oh, there's a parking lot in the back now. It's a bummer that the thing is gone. Oh, you can buy a bloody axe. That's a lot.
Yeah,
You could buy a bobblehead, brick dust vial. What does that
I
mean?
don't know. I clicked on the brick dust. I thought they would have an explanation of it, but they don't. I have no idea what that is.
EMF detector,
Yeah,
official Lizzie
they're having
hatchet.
fun.
They are having fun. A pen, a coin for no reason, a mug, a rise and grind coffee mug.
The cookie cutter is a pear.
Oh no way, I haven't gotten there yet. That's awesome.
They're a fun bunch.
Yeah, crazy. And like, oh, it was a Christmas ornament. That's what I like to get when I go on vacation. I like to get Christmas ornaments to remember where I've been. So I'll definitely get that when I go there. Yeah. Oh, Lily the Haunted Doll. Don't love her. Don't love the doll. George from the Ghost. Love him. CBD coffee. Cookie cutters up here. Anyway, what a fun story. I don't know. It's fun. It's scary. It's very of the time. A woman who has to, what a fucking terrible life.
What a terrible life. It's so boring.
It sounds so boring.
It's like
Um,
I would have killed them just for the excitement of killing someone.
what an exciting thing that happened. That she got to live her life in a nice house and have actors over, all of that sounds good. But her dad would have died soon anyway. He was like in his 60s. So I don't know. I don't know.
Such is life. Taylor, we are a little over our time.
Oh, yes, I gotta take a shower and
You
get
gotta
dressed
go
up
do your
for,
things. I gotta
yeah.
go. I don't know what I'm gonna do with Joe. I guess we'll go for a walk or something. But
Oh my God, hilarious. We'll have a great time.
I
Um,
will, and we're going to start some awesome advertising for the show here shortly, which will be really, really exciting. We're gonna get our
yeah, but we got
phone.
like 10 more Instagram followers from me doing Instagram ads.
There you go. There you
So
go.
things
We
are
are on our
happening
way
now.
to being famous any
Again, nobody
moment.
who doesn't know us listens to this because no one emailed me. So it's friends
I
only.
I don't know if that's causation or correlation.
We've done the ask twice. Email us doomedtofellpod@gmail if you don't know us and listen, but no one's done it. So I think it's all friends.
I'm gonna invent a new email address just to email you.
Please make me feel better.
I will.
Yeah, please like and subscribe on all of the things. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook at Doomed to Fail Pod. And that's
There
our
you
email.
go.
If you don't know me, send me an email.
There it is.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thanks,
Thank you, Taylor. I'm
Mars.
gonna
Have
go
a
ahead
great
and kill
day.
it. You
Cool.
too.